Hello, Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. We are going to read your tarot cards here today, so please come into this reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something, better yourself. If the messages that come through don't resonate for you, feel free to push them aside. You may want to revisit them at a later date. Please do remember you are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice, guidance, and energy check-in. Ooh, you got multiple cards coming up. Of course you do in a Gemini reading. All right, that being said, let's set the intention. Let's get you some helpful, insightful messages for the coming weeks, for the coming month or so. Let's see, bottom of the deck, King of Pentacles. You're so money, baby. That's what I think when I see the King of Pentacles. So maybe money is looking good. All right, I like to start in the middle, so let's do that. These cards kind of came out together. Interesting that both these cards sort of indicate a period of wait. With the Hangman, it's like we can't move forward because it's too foggy. There's too much confusion. There's too much mixed communication. You know, the Hangman is inverted essentially, symbolically, so that he can get a different perspective on something and try and understand it better. And then with the Three of Wands, that's the waiting for your ships to come in. I always say, like, with this card, it is about having faith. I mean, it's a card that is associated with Aries, and any fire sign, it's a lot about sort of that internal passion and how it's manifested, you know, in your external world, but having that drive and that ambition that if you work hard at something, you know, something's going to come out of it. Something good will come. It's that positive, fiery energy. But with that, you know, Aries hate to wait. You know, they're the ram. They want to butt right through. They don't like this period of waiting. So the fact that these came out together, I almost see it as like a double message of like, let's just like breathe a little bit. Let's not rush into anything because we might not be viewing it with clarity right now. There may be something getting in the way of us having greater perspective or clarity on what we're going through. So with that, this might be a very like meditative month for you, or a meditative week, or however you want to say it. And especially with it leading into the Seven of Wands, this is sort of like that energy of I'm just going to burst through the door, you know, guns a-blazing, no matter what they say. It's very like, what's a good word? The idea of war and conflict and feeling edgy and just, it lacks patience to me. It's not so much in this depiction. I don't think it's so much standing your ground. I think the universe is saying like, hold up, like stand your ground, or like, you know, stay rooted where you are because things are going to grow. But forcing the door down, you know, kicking and screaming, that's sort of what I get from this. And I think with Judgment, it's going to say, if you force your way through a situation or into a relationship that you're very unclear about, I think with Judgment, it's like, I hate to say you're going to quote unquote regret it, but it's like you're going to have to go back and fix it later. So you may as well take this break, or whatever you want to look at it, this vacation or this period of wait, take it as divine timing. It's almost like the universe is trying to do you a favor, but I think some of you are really struggling to see it that way. But I think that's absolutely true for a lot of you. Don't feel the need to rush into anything because, and I don't do like ultimative readings or threats, or that's not what I'm about, Gemini. I think you guys know that, for those who are, you know, old people to my channel, right? But yeah, with this, it's like force and again, like just busting through come hell or high water. That's not the greatest approach right now. You know, take a deep breath, exhale, and let the information come to you, especially with Piscean energy. It is about receiving communications from a higher power, you know, God, source, spirit, you know, whatever divinity means to you. But it doesn't come through that sword energy of communication via an email or a text, or like, I know you know this, but it is about opening yourself up to receive those sort of messages from the divine intuitively. That's a really important word with this kind of Neptune Pisces energy. The messages are there, the information is there, but if you're not putting yourself in an environment where you're open to receiving them, then yeah, it is going to be struggle, and it is going to be chaos, and there's going to be even more confusion. I hate to say the confusion is intentional, but I'm going to say this, the lack of clarity is good right now, so embrace it. Embrace it. You know, do some meditating, do some creative journaling, you know, whatever it is that you need to get out that excess energy that's showing up as fire, you know, go dancing, you know, do something athletic, you know, so that way you're not charged with all this kind of kinetic energy or whatever that you need to get out of your system, and you end up making a wrong move just out of being too antsy. I think you understand what I mean. All right, we're going to move on from that message. I don't know exactly what that's pertaining to, but I think if it speaks to you, you know, take it and run with it. maybe it has to do with a job, right? With the King of Pentacles, maybe you're not hearing back from those applications for a reason. And so if that's the case, let's go into that a little bit. Like, when will there be clarity, or when will we feel like it's right to move forward? I also think this is an indication too, especially for those with a job. You may be moving forward as a Knight of Cups with a certain expectation, given your resume, your skills, your talent, your ideal salary grade or whatever. And it could be that the first offer that comes along is a Page of Cups offer. So like, it's not terrible, but that's what I mean. It's like you have more experience and seniority than you're giving yourself credit for. Or it's like you're just so sick of waiting and being in like this limbo that you're willing to take lowball offers. And I really think the universe is saying, oh, careful with that, because you may come to regret it. Don't settle. If you have a certain idea or vision in mind, really make sure you're, again, opening yourself up to different streams or different avenues or different options, so that there's more possibility of those coming into you, not settling. That's really important with this Knight of Cups, Page of Cups. It's not that they can't communicate. It's not that they can't work together. Ultimately, these two speak the same language, so to say, because they're both of the Cups suit, right? But with that, I see you coming in as the Knight and the offer being made as a Page. So maybe this is dating for some of you. There could be someone who's quite literally younger than you and a little bit inexperienced, or, maybe you're their first real relationship and you're kind of like, oh, this is like unusual territory for me, and whatever it is. And I'm not hating on any connections you're making or whatever this Page of Cups represents. They certainly are bringing something to the table, but there's something immature or naive or slightly less than, I think, in terms of versus what you're looking for. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, the Chariot to me is like, put on your war face, put on your game face. Like, it's like, we got to go to battle for this, but it's almost like this subdued battle. It's this, like, this sounds so weird, but it's like this meditative battle. It's not going in guns a-blazing, like, this go to war mentality. It's almost like this brace yourself, because there's a period of wait, or there's a period of, I'm even going to say like dysfunction, where the dust is still settling from some maybe major ending or transformation. And with that, like, embrace the uncertainty, embrace the period of not knowing, and you're going to move through it, and it will be a victory. Ultimately, the Chariot is a card of victory. But again, the Chariot is a card of Cancerian energy. So much like Pisces, it's about immersing yourselves in the emotions and the feelings and sort of the intuitive hits the universe is trying to send you. You actually have quite a bit of kind of water energy there. So, do something creative. I'm even hearing something like dream journaling, getting in touch with something again, more in alignment with faith, spirituality, the divine. That's kind of, I think, where this fire energy and this water energy can meet and have this nice little conversation, so to say. And then King of Wands to me is a really strong career card. So I like that this, I think this bodes well in the future for a really successful, abundant opportunity coming in. But you have a choice, Gemini. You know that expression, like, you may have to kiss a few frogs to get to your prince? You can go that route. Or you can be patient, and some of you don't have the luxury to do that. If this is a job, you may have to make ends meet, and you may have to take the first job that comes your way. I get that, but I think the universe is asking you, is that the only way to handle this? Is there a more creative solution with this Piscean energy? Is there, can we sell some old stuff that we don't need, and that can be income? Is there an alternative path while we're waiting for that really good, juicy offer to come in, versus settling for something that we don't really want? We're probably not going to be happy in it long term. It's almost just like a stepping stone, to get from point A to point B. So I'm not saying you can't do that. Some of you will, but I would say that if you're going into something knowing that, it's not quite what I want and it doesn't feel great, then give it an end date, right? Know that it's a temporary solution. So don't get stuck in that lifestyle or with that person or in that job that it was only supposed to be a temporary thing. And, 4 years later, you're still there, because then you're going to miss out on this. And I mean, really, are you ever going to miss out on what is meant for you? Of course not. But I don't know, for a lot of you, this feels like a lesson in patience. And for some of you, this may relate in your dating life, right? Maybe you are kissing a few toads until you get the prince, and you can do that, but maybe this is about learning that it's okay to just be alone. It's okay to be independent and spend time by yourself. That doesn't mean you can't be social and network and go out and see friends and meet people. But maybe the idea of sort of forcing these more intimate or sexual connections just for the sake of not being single, maybe the universe is trying to wake you up to the fact that that's, maybe that's not a healthy choice for you anymore, or maybe that has sort of long-term, I hate to say side effects, but impacts on sort of your spiritual journey through this lifetime. And maybe, with judgment, it's Pluto energy. Maybe it's bringing something to the surface for you to recognize in yourself that maybe isn't the healthiest pattern, right? It's not always comfortable to look at with judgment, but it's going back and seeing our own patterns and behaviors as a human. And then deciding, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like I'm going to make some sort of change that's going to better my life or improve my my skills as a worker, as someone who's, dating, as, whatever, fill in the blank, a family member, et cetera, et cetera. There may be an important conversation with a family member or a peace offering, a heart-to-heart, a let's come together and work through this with a family member. It could be a father or a mother. For those who are cuspy with Cancer or have planets in Cancer, it's probably with a father figure, especially a Leo, but it doesn't have to be. Let's see. Yeah, some of you are going to pursue something that's more entrepreneurial, or you're going to take a passion project and monetize it. And again, you don't have to, that's only if you want to, but I see that potentially being successful. But again, it's not an overnight success story. It's not a Cinderella story where you come up with the idea that you're going to sell your woodworkings, or you're going to sell your quilts, or you're going to sell your, I don't know, fill in the blank. There's a period of waiting in order to see the return on that investment. So again, just know that if it's work that you enjoy doing and it makes you happy and it lights you up, then do it for that sake, and then the money will come. But yeah, I would be careful putting too much pressure on yourself and on this energy of whatever it is you're creating. It's like you're putting a lot of pressure on it to deliver and perform instantly. And yeah, like all this is such a lesson in patience. The King of Pentacles is Taurian energy, right? It's fixed earth. So it's not this like mutable, changing, fluctuating energy the way like Gemini likes, right? I would argue that Taurus is probably, and that's sort of, the fixed earth sign is Taurus. I would argue that it's probably the slowest sign of the zodiac. You could factor in some other things too, but it's like the idea of concrete, cement. It's like granite rock. It's really hard to push and move, right? Tauruses can have a reputation for being very stubborn, but with that, they have incredible strength and incredible tenacity and the ability to sort of maintain and it's a better word I'm looking for, see things through to the end, because they can hunker down and commit to something, right? And I think that's important. And then what's interesting is like right under him, you have that card of celebration, and a toast, a cheers, you're, cheersing your accomplishments or something like that. This probably has to do with a job for a lot of you. If it is romantic, it's possible that there may be an earth sign coming in, but you may have to sort through a few kind of connections, right? And so maybe that's just on dating apps. You go out on a date or a second date and you're just kind of like, yeah, there's just not a lot here for me. Good, that's fine. And the fact that you're recognizing it and not trying to make it something that it isn't, that in itself is a victory. And it's sort of like, I'm hearing the word applause, but I think it has to do with your own self-respect. And I don't know if it's integrity or just in terms of thinking long-term. Like what's the long-term plan and vision, not just living day by day and making sort of these decisions without thinking of long-term impact or not just impact, but potential. Like let's create like the larger story, the larger vision, rather than just living a day at a time. And there's a time and a place for that. But with this is about the long term. This is like the zoom out. What do we want in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? And sometimes that's really scary to think about, For a lot of people that, just hearing that can give them anxiety. But getting used to that idea, getting comfortable with submerging yourself or I don't know what word I'm trying to say there. Immersing yourself. There we go. Immersing yourself in sort of this dream, like, wouldn't it be interesting if I could create this or do that? Again, creative writing, creative journaling is going to be really key for a lot of you guys this month. There could be a reunion with a earth sign, a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, especially in terms of dating. And it might actually be an earth sign that you kept hanging a little bit. I'm hearing that song by the Supremes, You Just Keep Me Hanging On. Set me free, why don't you, babe? You know that one? It could be that you had an earth sign who was like into you and they would message you and you were just kind of like, eh. And so I'm not sure if you're going back to them because your heart is really in it or because you've had a change of heart regarding this sort of instant gratification of a relationship has to be very flirty and very sexual and has to, it has to take off by date 1 or 2. It could be that this one, it takes a little bit more time to cook and marinate. But I don't know. I do see potential in that. So it may be something that you overlooked in the past. Just putting that out there. For some of you, a child may be moving closer to home. Or vice versa. If you're a parent, you may end up moving closer to your child or moving in with your child. And I'm not sure what the reasoning behind that is, but I do see that may have to do with this sort of kind of breaking bread with someone or clearing out the closet of maybe some baggage you have in a parent-child dynamic, because there is sort of a team dynamic here of needing to work together to solve something or come together to do something. Maybe you're going into business with someone in your family, but in order to do that, you have to leave the past in the past and start fresh. And with that, Gemini, I know you're going to cringe. It involves kind of sharing what's deep in your heart. It has to do with expressing those sort of unexpressed emotions, because that's what's going to create unity and harmony here. All right, let's see. Yeah, I do see an earth sign coming back around, for better or worse. And it really, for most of you, it seems like they've been interested in you. You've been the one sort of, holding the power in terms of letting them into your life or not. And some of you will choose not to, some of you will immediately block it, or, you're going to be guarded, or you're going to, decide, game over, with the world card, end of a chapter, start of a new cycle, like I'm not going back to the past. That's valid. You can absolutely do that. But some of you are going to choose to make it work and listen to your intuition. Something about, I'm hearing like body talk, like how it feels when you're with them is going to speak volumes, versus sort of like the superficial, hey, how's the weather conversation. Do you know what I mean? It's like you'll get into the deeper things when you're supposed to. For some of you, that may come sooner than you're ready for. There may even be an intimidation factor because this person brings a lot to the relationship or a lot to the table that maybe it's easier to kind of coast on the superficial stuff and not get too deep and, be very, and I don't mean this to be insulting, but to be very surface level and not have to get into each other's past and this and that. But with the right person, you're going to want to share that with them and vice versa, to a certain extent anyway. And I'm almost getting the idea if it was too much too soon. But then I think a lot of you in hindsight, you're going to realize, ooh, that's actually what I needed. I just wasn't ready for it at the time. And that's kind of beautiful in itself because it's like, there's this self-realization that I really love here. And I think if you go into it with that mindset of, not trying to change a person, but the fact that you're changing and growing every day. So, why not give this person the benefit of the doubt that they've changed and grown too? I don't know. I feel like they offer some really cool thing to the relationship and to you in your life and vice versa. It goes both ways, but I don't know. I wouldn't overlook this King of Pentacles. I kind of like it. I'll give you an oracle card here for Gemini. Is there some words of wisdom for Gemini? Gemini. There we go. Transform your life. Don't take anything personally. When you refuse to take things personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your feelings of anger, jealousy, and even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally. All right, Gemini, that's what I got for you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye.